Have you ever noticed that when you're going through the hardest things, sometimes that's when God um, shows you Himself in the brightest way? Um, when we were in our 20s, we decided that it was time to start a family. We'd been married for about 5 years, and um, I got pregnant, and we were very happy and excited. And I started noticing some issues with the pregnancy. I went to the doctor, and the doctor told me I needed to kind of lay down in the bed for a while. And um, one night I started feeling some pretty severe cramping, and I remember getting up and getting on my knees at the foot of the bed and praying for God to spare that child. I asked God that if it was okay with Him, could I please keep this child? The next morning, Bob got up and went to work, and I got up and miscarried that baby in there at home. And I called Bob and I said, I've lost the baby. I called the doctor. The doctor told me to bring all the material to him, to the doctor. And Bob was very concerned and jumped in his car, and he was on his way back to the house to take me to the doctor. And I remember going out in the backyard, and we had 3 trees in the backyard that were kind of along the back fence, and I was walking around among the trees praying. And like we do sometimes, I was just asking, why? I mean, I prayed that I could keep this baby, and this baby is gone now. And I was questioning God and asking why. And it's very hard to explain what happened next, but that kind of wall of sin that is between us and God all the time, like this cloud that's between us and Him, that keeps us from really seeing Him super clearly, just because we're human and we're still on earth. The only way that I can explain it is that for just a moment, God just took that away. It was like there was this curtain that opened up, and I felt like, it's really hard to explain, but I felt like I could see God, and it was like all of my sin that was hurting my relationship with Him and a barrier in my relationship with Him all of a sudden was just kind of parted. And I have never felt such amazing peace and clarity and satisfaction in God's answer. Just like in the book of Job. I mean, Job had all these questions, and God really didn't answer his questions. He just showed him His face, and I've experienced that. And I remember walking around for just a moment in the backyard and experiencing that and just going, whoa. And then after a minute, all the crud between me and God just kind of came back, and it was like it was before. But that was absolutely an altar moment in my life where I have that to look back on, that was like a tiny, tiny taste of what heaven is going to be like when all of that stuff between me and Him is just gone, and I get to see Him for who He is and be fully known without anything to be ashamed of. Later, I had some friends that were trying to help and trying to understand, and they said things like, I got pregnant again about 3 months later with Diane, our first child, Diane. And I had people say, well, aren't you glad you had that miscarriage? Because now you wouldn't have had Diane. Now you have Diane. And that's really not a very good thing to say, because I wanted both. I wanted that child that we lost, and I wanted Diane too. Because we have her, and what a blessing she is in our lives, doesn't mean that we wonder who that first child would have been. But I would never exchange that experience with God, where He just kind of removed the veil and showed me Himself in a way I've never experienced before or since. I feel like that was just a gift of comfort that He gave me. and I'll treasure that for the rest of my life.